China has been on a buying spree for seaports around the world, but what's driving it?
And as China is the largest export nation, they're very concerned about keeping shipping lanes open, keeping their shipping cheap, inexpensive.
That's just one reason for China's buy-up of international ports, and a seemingly benign one. But the Chinese regime could have more concerning motivations too. As fears rise around the world over Beijing's aggression, some say the country may seek to weaponize these ports, turning them into strategic advantage points in case of conflict. Tune into this week's special report for a detailed look at how it all started and what Beijing's purchases are impacting nations around the world. Welcome to China in Focus. I'm Tiffany Meyer. For more than 10 years, China has been on a buying spree for seaports around the world. It now owns stakes and investments in ports in more than 60 countries globally. But those widespread purchases are now raising concerns. Studies say Beijing may intend to weaponize these ports. In this special report, we examine that possibility and look at what its ownership means for the countries involved. Those fears first appeared in an incident with Greece's Piraeus port, the largest port in Greece. In 2016, state-owned logistics business China Ocean Shipping Company acquired a majority stake in the port. China's purchase came at a time when Greece was in financial trouble. The economic pressure led to the company striking a deal, one that allowed China Ocean Shipping Company to act as owner, regulator, operator, and developer of the entire seaport. By signing the agreement, Greece essentially handed the port over to the Chinese Communist Party. And Beijing didn't hesitate to take advantage of it. In 2017, China sent a naval fleet to dock there. Beijing called it a message of friendship, but sent warships like missile destroyers and missile frigates. The Navy stayed there for 4 days. This showed that the Piraeus port was capable of being militarized by China's Navy, known as the People's Liberation Army Navy. Since the port purchase, China has also started asserting its political influence on Greece. At the port's first annual board meeting, China Ocean Shipping Company proposed that future meetings be held in China, in addition to Greece. Greece opposed the motion, saying it would amount to changing the port's domestic country to China. But despite the country's objections, China still adopted the proposal by exercising its majority vote. At one point, China's control of the Greek port may have even allowed it to stop the European Union from criticizing China at the United Nations Human Rights Council. In 2017, about a year after the Chinese company bought the port, the EU was due to make a statement at the Human Rights Council. The statement sought to highlight China's human rights abuses. The EU needed the agreement of all 28 of its states in order to make it, but Greece didn't agree. Instead, the country's foreign ministry said it would have been unconstructive criticism of China. Some analysts see this as a show of China's gained political influence over Greece, partly thanks to the port purchase. To watch today's full special report, click the link in the description down below. We are working with Epoch TV, and all Friday's special reports are published there in full length. Now we turn to our daily news. Controversy over the top U.S. military officer's call to a Chinese general continues to gain traction. General Mark Milley Friday defended his action, saying that calls he made were perfectly within the duties and responsibilities of his job. In a statement, his spokesperson said the calls were communicated with the Department of Defense. But the acting Secretary of Defense, Christopher Miller, told Fox News on Thursday that he did not authorize the calls with China and demanded that the general resign. U.S.-China tensions rose to unprecedented highs in the final months of Trump's presidency. That's as the Chinese regime continued ramping up its threats to invade U.S. ally Taiwan, and the U.S. administration took a tougher line against China's infiltration in America. Milley reportedly told his Chinese counterpart that, quote, "General Lee, you and I have known each other for now 5 years. If we're going to attack, I am going to call you ahead of time. It's not going to be a surprise." The calls were revealed in a new book co-authored by Watergate reporter Bob Woodward. The news has set off heated debates around Milley. Some are saying he saved America from President Trump. Some criticize him for betraying the U.S., and others say he is neither a traitor nor the savior of the Republic. The Biden administration voiced support for Milley. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki called him a man of honor. And the president himself said he has great confidence in the general. While President Trump says Milley never told him about the calls, and some Republicans are calling for his resignation, saying he has set a dangerous precedent. Milley said he would discuss his calls in more detail before Congress in a hearing later in September. America's racial relations appear to be on Beijing's radar. In a cartoon piece, Beijing's overseas mouthpiece is teaching parents how to educate their kids on race and racism. But a U.S. nonprofit is sounding the alarm about the cartoon's message. NTD's Juliet Song has the details.
A Wisconsin-based nonprofit is raising alarm over a cartoon piece. The animation is made by Beijing's overseas mouthpiece, CGTN. The cartoon argues, quote, racism is passed down from generation to generation. And it gives parents tips on how to teach their kids about race and racism. Here's a clip.
Because some people aren't fair, black people have gotten fewer opportunities than other people. So they have less money to buy food and take care of their needs.
Towards the end of the video, it says,
remember, being not racist just keeps things the way they are now. By being anti-racist, you can help lead our children to a brighter future.
The director of the nonprofit Myth-Informed MKE says he's concerned about this cartoon piece because it echoes the ideas of the controversial critical race theory.
Specifically, in the video, they talk about you have to build an anti-racist future. But if you don't do anything, you're just promoting the status quo. And the status quo is racist. So if you don't do anything, you're being racist. And that's straight out of critical race theory.
Critical race theory isn't new, but it has sparked a national debate recently. And what's it about? Put it simply, the theory claims that the U.S. is fundamentally a racist nation. It says white people are racist and that they enjoy better positions in society because they're white. And because of this deeply ingrained widespread racism in the society, all the cards are stacked against people of color. The theory has received strong backlash. Over half of the U.S. states have either banned or limited teaching critical race theory in K-12 public schools. With the theory sparking intense controversy on domestic soil, Edward says it's disconcerting to see Beijing's mouthpiece promoting it. CGTN is the overseas arm of Beijing's state-controlled broadcaster.
I don't believe that they care about racism, but what critical race theory can do is divide the country. And it would seem like if there's a big worry in the United States that critical race theory can undermine our national unity. But that seems something like China, the Chinese Communist Party would love.
And even though the cartoon has only over 10,000 views,
what I'd be concerned about is this, to me, is a trial balloon.
Edward says he's concerned that CGTN could push similar content on TikTok, a popular social media app among American teenagers. TikTok is owned by a Chinese company called ByteDance. Edward also argues this cartoon doesn't fix racism.
If you're concerned about ending racism, because if you're a person that aligns themselves with like caring and fairness and is really disgusted by racism, that this is actually going to make it worse. That these cartoons, they don't cure racism, if that's the goal.
He says instead of a colorblind standard, what cures racism is to treat people equally regardless of their skin color and give them equal opportunity. Juliet Song, NTD News.
The U.S. government on Friday sanctioned several Hong Kong-based companies and individuals. This is part of the U.S.'s efforts to deal with Iran-related terrorist activities. That's according to a notice posted on the U.S. Department of Treasury website on Friday. These companies and individuals are involved in financially supporting terrorist groups. The U.S. Department of Treasury added one of the financial facilitators lives in China and had funneled money to Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Quds Force and Hezbollah. Evergrande Group is quickly becoming China's biggest financial worry. The real estate company's liability has reached over $3 billion, up to 2% of China's GDP. 100 of its construction projects across the country are currently suspended. One of the biggest American credit rating agencies, Fitch, downgraded Evergrande's credit to CC. The rating is so low, it's often dubbed junk bond, meaning its ability to fulfill obligations is extremely weak. For days, Evergrande investors have been gathering in front of company sites across China, shouting, "Give me my money back." Authorities deploy the police force to, as they called it, maintain stability. A video shows the front of an Evergrande building in southwestern city of Chongqing, where police officers dragged a protester into their car. In central China, the city of Xi'an, police rushed into the company building and stood in formation to separate the protesters. In the southwest city of Milley, police beat people, knocking a girl to the ground. And there are similar scenes around the country. While investors suffer great losses, the group's top tier seems to be acting fast to keep themselves safe. According to Chinese media, an insider claims the company's board director and top managers have cashed out in advance. But we couldn't independently verify this. For example, documents provided by an employee appear to show the group director's wife taking $4 billion in assets. It's not yet clear how Beijing will respond. The chief editor of the Chinese Communist Party's mouthpiece, the Global Times, talked about the situation on his personal social media account, saying the company shouldn't have the fluke mindset of too big to fail. He added if Evergrande should go bankrupt, their bankruptcy wouldn't trigger a financial storm. And that's all for today's China in Focus. Thanks for watching and see you next time.